Enter the stars. And I'm going to get to the point quickly. Here are the facts. We know that in 1950, ocean sea spray involved the U.S. military exploding Serratia bacteria-filled balloons over San Francisco. We know that according to their own equipment, that 800,000 people were touched or affected by this bacteria. We also know that one man died, and we know that rates of pneumonia spiked to the point where local doctors at some of the universities had to do papers on it, noting the spike in upper respiratory illness. We know that 11 other people were seriously infected, and this was the bacteria that was found, Serratia. What you don't know is that this was a known pathogen. Now, I reached out to the survivor of this pathogen whose grandfather was killed. It was the only known death in San Francisco at the time. My guess is there were probably more that died from this that never got recorded. But I reached out to him. Hello, Mr. Nevin. He is an attorney now in San Francisco area. I said I would like to conduct a 30-minute live interview with you that has the potential to reach 100,000 people. I have a 50,000 subscriber base on YouTube channel and would like to tell your story about what happened to your grandfather. Very few Americans are aware of the biological testing in the past, what I believe is possibly currently underway in America. I believe the government already knew the lethality of the Serratia that was released over San Francisco and used their experiment as a cover story. NASA just launched 50 balloons over the U.S. while the eclipse was in progress, possibly to minimize UV destruction of the bacteria they released. Paenobacillus xerothermodurans. If you could share the specifics of your experience trying to sue the government, it would go a long way in holding the powers that be accountable from ever trying something like this again. I'm currently in France at sabbatical. I got a reply from this man. And here is what he said. I never uncovered any evidence that the government knew of the lethality of Serratia Markinson's. I'm sorry that it's cut off here. I'll just read it. I will certainly listen to you and consider your evidence which supports your belief, but I will be surprised if it will be sufficient for me as an ethical lawyer responsible to the people of the United States and the world for all that I allege to adopt it and join in the allegation. Thank you for contacting me. I wrote him back, and here I show him the proof. Operation Sea Spray. Here's the history of the known pathogen that was launched over the American public beginning in 1949. In 1913, 1936, 1942, and 1948, they already knew this was a known pathogen. 1948, a UTI patient was admitted with bronchopneumonia, red pigment organism recovered. That's the Serratia. 1942, meningitis from a U.S. Army soldier who had previously had a diagnostic lumbar puncture performed. Red pigmented organism recovered. In 1936, in French literature, recovered from sputum of a patient with pneumonia. They knew what this was. I say thanks for your reply and fully understand your position. Here's the evidence in a government article that in the years leading up to 1950, scientists were publicly aware that Serratia was a pathogen before the U.S. military infected 800,000 people in San Francisco. I have outlined below the key points for your review. Since the military suffered no repercussions from these acts, they may still be conducting these experiments. Maybe this is information you need to reopen your case. It demonstrates gross negligence and endangerment of U.S. citizens with a known pathogen. I'll let you know if I hear back from Mr. Nevin. Take care and be safe, you guys.